Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our pre-match extravaganza. I am joined today, as usual, by Gordo, and we have a new person in the house here. Ryan has appeared on a few other programs with us in the past, but Ryan made the mistake of showing up to the American Scouser petting zoo in Chicago that we did over Labor Day weekend. And it makes you realize that people actually listen to this thing when strangers show up and meet you in person. But he hung out with us all afternoon. He has a half day today, so he jumped in. So we welcome you to the fray, to the ruckus. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Nice to be here. And it took only 3 weeks for that rash to go away after hanging out.
Yeah, that's
worse things have happened to me at a petting zoo. Oops, I said that out loud. Let's bring in our next guest. Kazi's here with us. Kazi, how are you doing, my friend?
You should have been in Chicago.
I was okay until about 1 minute 18 seconds ago.
It's basically about how it works, my friend. So we're going to get right at this here. We're going to get going. We got a big match today, obviously, as we start to set up for why my screen's not working. Sorry. Our match here against Forest, as always, L Page Graphics does some graphic work for us. We appreciate Lydia's help. She made this match day graphic for us for the Liverpool versus Forest match. We were just talking about it, Kazi, before you jumped on. Forest has got a ridiculous record of, what was it, Ryan? They have only conceded 1 goal since mid-December or something at home.
I think it was they have not conceded since mid-December, and I don't know if I think that's just at home.
It is at home. They're good on the city ground, so it'll be interesting. We're going to do what we always do. We'll get in, we'll look at the lineup, talk about what we expect to see today. We'll give our predictions. So let's take a look. I can't imagine anyone on here is surprised at this 11. This to me is the club's best 11 at this point. These are the players I expect in all the big matches. Kazi, I'll start with you. Any shock for you in this lineup? Would you have done anything differently, or could you have seen the manager doing anything different?
I could see the manager doing something differently, but am I surprised? No. I think he kind of showed his hand with that Accrington Stanley game a little bit for Nuno. But I thought he might have thrown a curveball in there in a really weird way. I thought he might just do like a Jones for Szoboszlai in a weird, just so to keep Nuno guessing a little bit. But he just went, no, I'm just going to get me strongest lads on the pitch and the best players on the pitch, and we'll just beat them that way, which I'm also into as well. Because Nuno's kind of surprised me a little bit with his team and how he did it. I thought he might have kind of repeated what he did at Liverpool a little bit, but no. He's decided to get out there and branch out, which might work into Liverpool's benefit. There should be space behind because those players are very, very good going forward, and they might want to attack a bit more because they're at home. But I will argue with anyone. I know right now this is Liverpool's biggest game of the season, and it won't be any bigger than this in terms of what you can actually do if you beat them. You just set the marker down. Look what happened to Arsenal on the weekend, and then you just go out and beat Forest, and it's like, and it's just all that deflation goes out. Like, oh, now they're 9 points clear again, and there's no game in hand, and we're just 9 points clear, and now we've got to play Spurs with our derby at home. I just think it's the managers went, let's get our strongest 11 on the pitch and beat them that way, which I've got a lot of respect for.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that is also the case. I think that the manager knew what he was doing here. I genuinely do. I think he understood this is the jugular at this point. To your point, Kazi, this is the most important match. This puts you 9 points clear. Who knows what they do, plus the match in hand. We now know when that match will be, so we can start to kind of gauge out how we rotate players from the League Cup. We got a good draw in the next round of the FA Cup in the 4th round. And then, of course, we have 2 basic dead rubbers, but Kazi, you're right. You remind us on our podcast, it is $5 million a pop for each win, and the club probably wants those victories. But I think you can still rotate and get victories against Lille and PSV by playing some of your reserves to get them the minutes they need to build up. So, Gordo, let's come to you on this one. We'll start with the back line. Obviously, I don't think any of us are surprised that the back 5 is there. Was there any part of you that maybe wondered if, barring what Konate has dealt with injury-wise, that he might get a break in this one. I mean, Kwanzaa played really, really well. Endo's played well twice in a row at center back. I think you would have killed the youngster's whole confidence if he gives you the best performance under the manager and then you start a defensive midfielder.
I just had like a Vietnam flashback there of like Endo getting marked by Chris Wood. That's something I don't want to see in my life right now.
I was just gonna say, it's almost like that moment where you're like, I'm a fit center back, and he decided to start Fabinho and Henderson today in the Champions League. My career is done here. Gordo, what do you see in that back four? How do you see the matchup? Because Kazi mentioned it, Chris Wood's not an easy matchup for any center back in the league. As we all know, they have pace on the outside. So if we leave too much space, either Alanga or Hudson-Odoi can kind of get behind you and get into those spaces and create problems. Why this back four, and what do you see as being the strength in it?
I do think it is all about strength because Chris was a big boy. He's good in the air. He's also good with his back to goal, put a body on you, and having our two biggest center defenders back there, I think says a lot. I also think this is one of these games where it's midweek. We played at the weekend. Ryan and I were talking before it started, and he was like, "How you feeling about this?" And I was like, most of our midweek games this year have been kind of like, it doesn't really matter right now. It's not super important. And then I had to look at the fixture and go, shit, it's Forest. This is actually a really big game, and I wasn't geared up for it. So I'm hoping that's not the message in the dressing room. But yeah, I think it's a very strong lineup because I think that he realizes this is the game. And in past teams, I'm not going to name names, but there are certain people that our center back situation right now, those guys probably do need a rest. I wouldn't say that anybody besides Verge is probably fully fit for a hard 90. But this would be an example of a game that we'd probably look at the lineup and go, I kind of get why you've started someone weaker like an Endo. I think Klopp may have played like an Endo in this situation because he never played the occasion, right? Whereas this is a statement starting 11. This is we're basically going to take a pivotal game at a pivotal time of year, and we're going to ensure that our best starting 11 available right now is out on the field.
Ryan, I'll come to you on this one. We'll talk a little bit here, obviously, about that midfield. I don't know that you can talk about the midfield without showing that man's fine head of hair right there. But Soboslai comes back in, takes his spot. I'm with Kazi. I was worried that he might throw a curveball and start Jones here. I wanted Soboslai here because I think the effort and the work that he does, the running that he puts in, the legs he has on him, I think that could be a real advantage, especially if Gravenberch and McAllister do their normal kind of bossing around to the midfield. So where in that midfield do you see them trying to exploit us in any way if Forest is going to?
Well, Forest has a lot of speed on the outside, and they get the ball to those guys on the outside. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm more worried, I guess, more about Trent and Robbo, I guess, than them exploiting our midfield with Alanga and who's the guy on the left? I can never remember his name. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I think this is our strongest midfield. So if they're playing really well, I don't see them exploiting us in the midfield. I've total confidence in Gravenberch and McAllister.
Kazi, you mentioned a little surprise in how they set up. What was it about this starting 11? Was it the not including Dominguez? Was it not going with a more kind of like the veteran adult in the room, almost like a James Ward-Prowse, because you know what you're going to get out of them in the type of moment? Do you think this is Nuno being like, hey, we went to Anfield, we shut up shop, and we went Mourinho and we stole a 1-0 late one. We're actually going to play football with these guys in our ground. We think we can play them in our ground.
Which I think is naive. The way the beat us at Anfield was he brought the two wingers on. He brought Hudson-Odoi and Alanga on, and I think he just got caught by surprise. Now, if you're Nuno, you probably think, well, I can't surprise him again, so I may as well get the best players on the pitch and think of it like that way. And I think that's what he's done here a little bit. I do think they're going to want... Nottingham Forest are very clear. They're very happy having 35%. They're very happy with that. They're okay with that. Even at home, they're okay with having 35% of the ball. Even against teams that they should dominate. If you actually look at some of the teams that they play at home and look at the possession stats, they're very much giving the possession up, which I think is dangerous. I think you're relying, especially with this Liverpool team, I think you're relying on Alanga and Hudson-Odoi to a really good defensive job for 70% of the ball, which I don't know. Listen, it could work, and I'm sure they haven't got here by fluke. They've won, we're 20 games in now. We're not 6 games in, they're 20 games in. You know what I mean? You've got to be an half-decent side. You've got to be a well-drilled side. Do you know what I mean? The one thing I would say is, though, mate, for Nuno, you've took your option off the bench. I love Awoniyi. I'm a big fan of him, but his injuries have kind of caught up with him a little bit, and he's not fit, he's not playing well. And then you haven't really got like a scary sub to really bring off the bench. It's not like, for example, if you're Trent and you're getting done in by Jota for 70 minutes and then he brings Hudson-Odoi on, you're like, be honest with him. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's exactly what happened at Anfield. It was Hudson-Odoi's fresh legs and Alanga on the other side.
That was Bradley, wasn't it? Bradley got destroyed, didn't he, on the wing, and he cuts in and scores. So the one thing on Matalanti, which you mentioned before about the surprises and stuff like that, what he has to do with this 11, he has to get this 11 on the pitch this week and go win your next 2 games, and then Kanata, you got a week off. Don't play Lille. You've got a week off. You should be able to go into the Lille game. Liverpool need a point, I think, to finish top. I think we need a point, right? So let's take the Lille game seriously for a second, right? Lille are also 8th in the Champions League, so they're half decent outfit. They're chasing to finish in the top 8.
Yep.
We should treat them with the respect that they deserve. But you should be able to do Van Dijk and Kwanzaa and Bradley right back. So you've got to say, hey, do this week, get Brentford and Forest, and then you've got a week off. You play Ipswich, then you've got another week off because that's the PSV game, which will be a dead rubber. Do you know what I mean? So there's an argument with, if for example, if it's almost Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch, I think every Liverpool fan is worried about Gravenberch in terms of how many games he's playing. You can go, just do the next 2, and then you're playing 1 a week for 2 weeks. You're playing 1 a week. Do you know what I mean? Kanate, I know you're feeling it, fella. Kwanzaa, I know you still got your bit of a bug. Szoboszlai, I know you're still feeling a bit shit in yourself. Do the next 2, and I'll take care of you down the road for the next 2 weeks. And I think that's how you've got to do this. And I think I'm kind of into that both managers have just got the best 11s on the pitch. I am actually kind of into that, of like, these are my best players, and I'm playing them my best players in their best positions, and let's just have a big game of footy.
Forest got a huge match, like you said. I mean,
Forest got nothing to lose, I think. Let's get it right. Liverpool have got it all to lose. All the pressure on Liverpool in this game. Any pressure on Forest? Absolutely not. Forest can finish 6th, and it'll be an unbelievable season for Forest. But what Forest can do is really talk themselves into this, and they can start believing themselves. And there's also a part, if they win this, they can go back to the owner and go, hey, we have a chance here, it's January. I think I need this. Well, I'll go out and get you that then. Do you know what I mean? It actually puts the Champions League football. So I just want Liverpool to go out there, Gal, and do a serious job, professional 2-0 win, serious, and go, you're none of our business, and no one's none of our business because no one's even close to us.
And that to me, Gordo, I think is probably where I lay in on. I think it's an important match for all the reasons Kazi just outlaid. It is a midweek match. Both sides had the luxury of rotating during the FA Cup weekend. Obviously, we had a little bit of an easier task than Forest did, but both advanced. I think what happens here is Forest comes in thinking to themselves, people don't want to say this, but if we win this match, we're 3 points off the lead. And we beat the best team in England, maybe the best team in Europe twice. Nobody has beaten Arne Slot in 12 months, and we've done it twice. I think this is a big, big moment. And, to Kazi's point, I do think this is a little naive in some ways by Nuno, because I think at the beginning of the year they were pulling all those results in by being pragmatic and doing what they did best. They've expanded beyond that, which is great. But I feel like this is the little bit of the mistakes that he made at Spurs, always starting his best players, trying to win with flair. I do question whether or not he's making a mistake today, and we'll come to find out in the next 20, 25 minutes. Front 3, no questions. We're not going into who's not playing today. We will not speak about players who aren't even in the side, which means we can't talk about Dan's either, people. But today, trust me, this channel will always talk about them. But today, we got the front 3, which is by far our best 3 in the big moments. You have Chiesa on the bench to bring on to make a change if you need to in the second half. And, of course, you have Jota who can come on and play one of 4 different positions, as was shown at the weekend. What do you expect from the front three today? Is there any one of those three players you are overly kind of paying attention to, or you think might have a bigger impact based on who we're playing and how we're playing against them?
Well, they need a fast start, because the thing here is, as you guys have already alluded to, the one saving grace here, because it is kind of a pressures on us situation, but that they get caught up in the moment and they go out thinking that they can, take points off of us. If we don't hit them early, or we don't at least put the pressure on them early and try and wear them out, because it is their best 11 on the field right now, and they don't have too much surprise coming off the bench, the longer they stay in this game. This is one of these teams that if you get to the 75th minute 0-0, I mean, they're just as likely to score as take a point off you. And that's a scary situation, because there's only one team in the league that currently has less goals conceded than we do, and that's Arsenal with a game more than us. Nottingham Forest has played a game more than us, and they're tied with us with goals conceded. So this is a team that also is very good at the back. So we need to wear them out. We need to score early and force them to attack us, so that's where they're going to lose their legs. And I think that's really where the key is, because as soon as 60 minutes hits, you start rotating players and get the fresh legs and bring our surprises on, because we've got a deep bench. That's how you win the game. We can't let them hang around for too long, because they're just going to grow in confidence. It's at home too. And this fan base, as Kazi said, that doesn't really matter. They finish anywhere in European places this year. It's a fantastic, overachieving season. These fans are going to be geared up for this game, and the longer it goes 0-0 or them leading by a goal, the more and more the crowd is going to play a factor.
Do you think, okay, let me ask a question here for everyone.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Nuno shakes hands on 70 at 0-0? Do you reckon he takes a draw?
100%, I think he would.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all you have to do is look at how many goals they've scored and how many goals they've conceded, and it'll tell you that's his mantra would be 0-0 would be a great day for him.
I don't know, I don't think he does, but that's just me. I just think if you're playing at home against anyone at home and you're serious about playing in the Champions League, you've got to beat home teams. I know it's Liverpool, I get it, and I understand it. It'd be interesting to see what Nuno does on 70 if it's a draw, if it's a 1-1 or 0-0. Be interesting.
But if they've gone 75 minutes in a defensive shape, and then they start breaking out and they lose the game, that's going to...
But then it's only a point though, isn't it, Gal? That's what you can swallow. We can swallow for the players and go, listen, we went for it. We only lost a point. We only gained a point. Do you know what I mean? But what you get to gain the win, to get free and draw Liverpool.
What if you lose it though?
Of course, that's the risk you're taking, it.
But I'm not sure that he goes into this match worrying about losing it. And I think part of it is they've been so good against the rest of the league, and they've been so competitive, especially against the lower opposition. They're not conceding a lot of goals. They aren't scoring as many as the high-flying sides. You expect that when Chris Wood is your number 9 and leading striker. Your job is to score the 1 or 2 you get every other week, and those will be the points we need. Sir Z says, why does it feel we are underdogs going into this match? And, I don't know that it feels we're underdogs as much as we are being respectable of the opposition, because I think the opposition has earned the respect of everyone in the country for the way that they've played. When we were doing our pre-match stuff when we were doing our previews over the season, over the summer, right? Like, I believe there were 3 or 4 people that picked them to be relegated out of our group. And I don't even think it was a terrible shout, because they had such trouble the last few years. I didn't know that these defensive signings that they had signed would actually kick on. I also wasn't sure that Nuno was the right manager, if they were actually going to be in a relegation scrap, because he doesn't come across as that type of guy. Yet he's done an outstanding job with this side, getting them to play. So, Kazi, I'll come to you with regards to that bench. Gordo mentioned making a few late changes and kind of changing things from the bench. It is a strong bench. You have Chiesa, Jones, Elliott, Jota, Bradley, Simicast, Kwanzaa, of course, and then, the all-too-pro Endo that can come in and play every position. So if you were going to single out 1 or 2 of those substitutes that you believe, that you're excited to see come on, make a contribution, and you think could make a real impact on this game, other than the crush you have for the man you can't spell his name, and you can talk about that Italian maestro all day long. But who is it outside of Chiesa that you're excited to see come on the pitch this afternoon?
Depends what the score is. You know what I mean? But it feels like Jota's going to get on, no matter what the score
of course.
is. He'll do Jota.
He'll come on for Diaz, right? In the
exactly.
60th, 70th minute.
It feels like that's a nap anyway. When you look at the bench, the thing you say is, though, it's nice to have options again. Like, you know, we went through a bit of a stage there where it was a bit, do you know what I mean? Like, and no one was really match fit and things like that. Well, all these lads have had games in the last couple of weeks. I've seen these lads play a lot of footy on that bench in the last couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? Even Elliot gets 90, doesn't he? I think Elliot gets 90 versus Atkinson on the weekend. So, you know, listen, I bet if it comes down to a tight game, and I understand what you guys are saying, that I don't think Forest will take the chance. I back Liverpool's bench to be, you know, that's the one thing that Liverpool have got is the bench. And such a weird game. I just feel like it's because a draw doesn't kill us, but I also feel like I really want to set a precedent of like, this is none of your business this year. This is nothing to do with you. It's not even Arsenal's business. It's nothing to do with you. Go and continue to do whatever you want to do and shout at the TV and stuff like on fucking YouTube and things. Like, it's none of your business. This is nothing to do with you anymore.
It's a good shout. This feels a little bit like that. I think it was I think Spurs or Arsenal. Someone hosted Leicester during the run when Leicester was kind of flying and everyone kept saying, "Oh, they'll fall off. They'll fall off." And everyone was like, "Today's the day they lose." And they went out and won that match. And it's almost like the end of that match was when those players said, "We can fucking do this. Go fuck them."
Yeah, I think they played Arsenal away. Welbeck scores a last minute, win 2-1. But the week later, they go to United and win 1-0. I think Robert Huth scores a header.
He hits the header on the corner.
Everyone went, that's them done. Like, Arsenal beat them now. They're like 5 points off them, and they'll just, you know, kind of cash them or whatever. And then he went to United and won, and everyone went, oh, fuck, they're serious. And I think that's what we could do here. Just set the precedent out, put your marker in the ground. It's none of your business, Forest. It's none of your business, Arsenal. I don't care. And by the way, that Spurs game tomorrow, that is not a walk in the park for that Arsenal team at the moment. Like, with Jesus out. It looks like their front three are going to be Martinelli, Sterling, and Havertz. That's their front three going into that game tomorrow. I would back my Spurs front three against that front three every day of the week. So
I backed that Spurs front three and 2 of their subs to come in. I take Brennan Johnson.
Werner's out.
Everybody but Werner. So it's good. There's a good chance they'll score. They'll play Mikey Moore.
Even fucking Richarlison if he's available.
Richarlison's back. What a shit house to having a dad. Fuck me. Like, that's one guy you don't want to come up against. But again, I think it's really important, this game of footy, gents. I really do. I think this is the biggest week in the league. This is the week. This is the 2 games. You beat Brentford and Forest, it's over. It's honestly, it is over. And I just think of what it will do to the other players. Let's get it right. The Arsenal players are sitting at home tonight, turning the telly on, watching the match. They're watching the game. Definitely. And if I think it's just a comfortable 2-0 win, you go, don't fancy it.
Well, the other thing too is like that Arsenal team. It's a been here, failed that situation again, and that's what happens to the locker room. It's infectious. And Liverpool go on and win this game. They look at their calendar and they go, look at our injuries and look at our recent form. And here we go again, another season where we're going to come up short. And that starts to creep in every point they don't pick up. So it's definitely a really important game.
Mm-hmm. It is crazy too when you look at the league table and you see it. You know, played 1 game less, up 6 points on second and third place, outscored everybody in the Premier League by, I think, or I don't even know. Are we still ahead of Spurs? We're close with Spurs, I think, but they've given up so many. The goal difference is top. We've conceded the least. This is one of those moments, I think, to Kazi's point, where you can make a statement and you can make real headway that not only sets up the run-in for the league and preparing for, you know, the bus tour that Kazi has been preparing us all for since August, but also I think this sets you up to be able to start to formulate the plan that allows you to compete on all 4 counts. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying we're ever going to mail in a league game, but if you're 9-12 points up on second place, 9-10 points up on your division rivals, you have the ability to rotate in the league and start a Harvey Elliott, start a Kwanzaa, and then play your stronger 11 in the League Cup or in the, you know, the FA Cup semis or in a specific Champions League match, and not overstretch the roster. So Ryan, I'll come to you here because I always like to get everybody out with a good 10, 15 minutes left. Let's get to our predictions. Give me your score line. If you have a man of the match, and if you have one player to watch for, who would it be?
I'm going to go 1-0 us. And the player that I'm going to watch is Konate, just based on his performance against United. As of right now, I don't think he can go 90. So I'm going to keep an eye on him. Although we will have possession for probably 70% of the time in this game. So that will help. But I kind of want to keep an eye on him, I guess. And then I just want Trent to have a big game. I know he had a good game Saturday, but, he's playing a team that, is about to get relegated to the 5th division. So whatever. But, yeah, so Konate, 1-0.
Sir Z, the eternal optimist, gives us a 2-2 draw. I guess he's calling for heart medication. Kazi, what do you got for us on a score line? Who would you put as your man of the match if possible? And what are you excited to see for anything that you want to point out to the viewers?
3-0 Liverpool. I just think we'll just do a professional job. I do, and just we'll score. And I think the answer for the big play is Trent. I think, listen, he's had a lot of his critics in the last couple of weeks. Completely deserved after the United game, in fairness.
Yep.
Big players step up in big games. The last big game you didn't step up. If you want to be a leader of this team and captain this football team, and you want to be the man, and you want the wage packet to reflect that you are the man, then you need to step up in a big game of football when we need you to step up. And this is it. And there's no excuse. You had a nice little 45. You got a lovely goal against Atkinson. We had a lovely time. I didn't even lift my head off the pillow because I didn't care. And it was a lovely game of footy to watch on a Saturday morning. But now it's business time. This is it. This is what you want to do. You want to lift league titles for Liverpool. You want to lift the Champions League for Liverpool. Oh, we didn't get to celebrate in front of fans. Well, go out and beat these then. And it's, you're halfway there. Do you know what I mean? We're halfway there then if you go out and beat these. So I want to see a performance out of you, lad. Do you know what I mean? I want to see you put this team on your back and be the leader that we know you are, that you've done before, and go out and prove it. But I just think we'll just do a really good professional performance, 3-0.
We document these types of claims to make sure that they are followed through on.
Where's
Gavi, if we win 3-0, I'll Venmo you money for a couple drinks on me. It's always good to get alcoholic beverages bought for you by a man who doesn't drink. Gordon, what are your thoughts on today's match? Give me a prediction, something to watch out for. Follow up on what the guys have said so far.
I felt 2-0. I think it probably halftime 0-0. A bit of brilliance by Mo. Jota comes on, finishes the job later in the game after the 80th minute. I think it's going to be one of those where that it's on a knife edge, but it never looks that way. I think we'll control it and we'll put the game to bed. But it's one of those where like all they need is one chance to break through and find Trent sniffing a little too far forward. I also am looking. I hate to repeat what two other people said, but yeah, Trent having a good game because he's like the one player that's currently the one big guy on the contract that currently has not earned the demands at this point. Verge definitely pay the man whatever he wants. Mo this year pay the man whatever he wants. Trent, so I'd like to see. I think to see him step into that category where it really puts the pressure on FSG to start signing some checks.
Yeah, I'm going to give the 2-0. That was my call last night on the pod. That was my plan all along. Go with the 2-0. I think it will be a professional performance. I think they'll get one in the first half. I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like when this team really needs a goal, they can rely on Gakpo to make something happen. He's shown it in the last few matches. He's so confident coming in on the right. He offers so much composure on the left, coming in on his right foot. And I think in some ways the helter-skelterness of Diaz, but it being done in a controlled environment under the constraints of the tactics, actually makes Gakpo and Mo's consistency even better. Right?
Yeah, he's a magnet.
It's what you wanted Nunez to do, to create chaos,
definitely
create movement, create space. Almost like what Bobby used to do, and I'm not trying to even compare Diaz to Bobby, but their movement creates room for other players to exploit. And to be fair to Diaz, his finishing has been – it's still not top level in my opinion. I don't even think it's top class. It's just class. It's not world class. It's not even top class. It's just – it's better. which is part of the reason why I'm still excited when I hear about them being linked to different, like, true clinical number 9s, because I think, like, that could be what ticks the box to put this side into a whole nother stratosphere. But we'll get to that when we get there. For me, I am with Kazi on the weekend. I think this could be a moment for Chiesa to come on. And I'm not saying come on and score the winner, score a 95th minute goal. But I think this is a moment where Chiesa comes on 70, 80 minutes in. Maybe he even gives Mo a rest at the end if we have a lead. Maybe he comes in the middle. Maybe he comes in for Soboslai, plays off the 10. But I genuinely think this could be where he starts to bed himself in to the ongoing rotation of the side. Like, I think there's a world where Chiesa is the first sub off the bench for our attackers eventually this season.
I think there's a party.
I think
there's a party. That's where the Szoboszlai argument comes in. If you look at the Spurs away game, Szoboszlai was doing a lot of running beyond Diaz. What this allows you to do, because of the Forest tactics, is just to get 4 up front and go to Szoboszlai. You're going basically alongside Diaz here, and we're just going to pin them in. So you might just see like Liverpool's midfield getting outnumbered for the first 15, 20 when they get it all figured out, kind of thing. And you'll see a lot of trends coming into midfield and everyone will be losing their head. But that's all part of the plan. Basically to push these 4 against their 4 and go, if you're going to play your like defensive side, I can cheat a bit and get the extra man in from midfield to go and press Diaz, and we'll see if Murillo and Aina can pass out through this press then, because that's why Szoboszlai is so important. But the Chiesa part, I think Chiesa does have a bit down the 8 ball, because it looks like he can run a bit. And again, I keep saying this, we haven't got midfielders who can run. We have one. And when he's not fit, we don't win. I.e. Szoboszlai in the last 2 football matches. He doesn't, we don't win. So to have a player who like Chiesa who can run and can be that little cheat code when you play Diaz coming deeper and you have Chiesa running on and Szoboszlai doing the same, then it could work.
I thought we saw that a little bit. I mentioned it last night on the Monday Night Pod. I think there was a little bit of that, like, it was like a dry run, like a dress rehearsal. The manager went out there against Accrington and was like, hey, I finally have a side that I'm not worried about trying this 4 attackers. I'll play Jota and Nunez through the middle and Elliott on the left. And I almost felt like that wasn't about seeing can Jota and Nunez play together. It was seeing, am I able to play Jota behind Diaz? Can I play Chiesa with Diaz?
Yeah.
If I'm starting Darwin, could I put another attacker? Because we're going to play a ton of sides in this league that are going to play a low block against us at home at Anfield second half of this season. And I think we'll see more of that. And to your point, Kazi, my hope there is that's when we realize you can give Soboslai a rest. In the days he doesn't need to be running all over the pitch, because you are right. He's the only midfielder that has the legs to do the job that Arne Slot wants. It's why he wanted to buy Zubamendi. Everyone thought it was to be the Gravenberch. I think it was actually to be another person who could run and do all 3 positions in the midfield. And obviously we still need that player in the summer. I don't think that player is coming here. It's not time to talk about players coming in. I will say someone mentioned in the chat, Chelsea was up 1-0. Spencer Stewart, shocking to all, but Cole Palmer slotted in a beautiful goal.
Isn't it nice that it doesn't matter?
It doesn't. And Kazi, I've been saying this for weeks. If Liverpool loses this league, it's because Liverpool lost the league, not because anybody else took it. So we will be back after the match. We will do a post-match, probably 15, 20 minutes after the final whistle. Hopefully we are celebrating 3 more points picked up and the extension of the lead at the top. Here is to hoping for a great performance and, most importantly, no injuries and or problems. If you haven't already, get on over to the YouTube page, give it a subscription, a like, share it with a friend. If you want to get involved, feel free to send us a message. We are always looking to find new folks. Spencer closes us out with Come On You Reds. All right, folks, let's do it. We got 5 minutes to get ready. Thanks for joining the pre-match show. We'll be back for post. For everyone at American Scouser TV, enjoy the match. Talk to you soon.